Okay, we're going to be talking about King Jehoash, or Jehoach, or however, the young king. The youngest king in all of Scripture began to reign at the tender age of 7. You know, that's pretty young, huh? You know, so here it is, you know, and it's very revelatory. Man, this man, he blessed us with this one, I'm telling you. Okay, we're gonna jump right in. It's taken from 2 Kings, you know, so this is 2 Kings chapter 12 that we're gonna be going through. And this is the story of King Jehoash. Okay, now it says in verse 1 that in the 7th year of Jehoash began to reign, and 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. Okay, now the number 7 speaks in scriptural numeric speaks to perfection. It speaks to perfection, completion. Perfection in the scripture isn't like perfection in today's, the way we think of perfection today, as in without error. It speaks to completion. You know, and the number 7 speaks to things that are spiritually complete, not only in the heavenlies, but also in the earthlies. It also deals with the calling of a man. And it also speaks to an oath, because the word for oath actually comes from the word 7 in the Hebrew. The Hebrew word for oath and 7 are almost synonymous. It comes from the word 7. The word oath, shabuah, which is pretty much the same as the word 7. And so it speaks to the oath as well. And Yehu, his name means Yah is he. And Jehoash, his name means given of Yah. Zibiah means row. And Beersheba means well of the oath. So, you know, I was looking at this, and right off the bat, some things jumped out at me. You know, it seemed to be speaking about an oath. When we look at verse 1, it says in the 7th year. You know, if we know 7 speaks to an oath, you know, we can say in the year of the oath. In the 7th year of Yehu, or in the year of the oath of Yah, Jehoash began to reign. And 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. So he came from his mama, which was Zibiah of Beersheba. Zibiah means row. And she was of Beersheba, so she comes from the well of the oath. You know, so here it is. We have, spiritually speaking, we have the text actually pointing us to a year of the oath of Yah, in which Jehoash, that which is given of Yah, begins to reign, and he reigns 40 years. 40 speaks to testings and trials. So he reigns during this time of testing and trial in Jerusalem, which is the city of peace, or the teaching of peace. And his mother's name was Zibiah, a roe or gazelle or deer, of the well of the oath. You know, and the wells speak to counsel, because wells hold water, and water speaks to counsel. So well speak to counsel. And Beersheba was a very special well, because that was a well that was started by Yah. You know, so here it is. We had the well of the oath. You know, and this well was started by Yah when he made an oath to Hagar, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so here it is. This is a beautiful picture of what this book is about, what this chapter is about. It's about one that's in the year of the oath of Yah, or one that's in a time of oath to Yah, you know, and which they begin to reign. They reigned over Judah. Judah means the praise of Yah, or Yah's praiser. We have any praisers of Yah in here? You know, and the land of Judah, where all our bodies are made from the dust of the earth. So in that respect, we're all a type of land. And when we're fathered from above, i.e. born again, that is when we see the Ruach HaKodesh from on high, we become, it inherits this land of ours, i.e. these flesh bodies, and it has to dwell within. You know, now, during this time, it's going to begin to rain, you know, and this rain is for 40 years, so it's during a time of testing or trial that is raining in the teaching of peace. Now, our Messiah, his commandments is that teaching of peace, you know, hence he would teach us to be wise as the serpent, yet gentle as the dove. You know, he was the one that was led to the slaughter as a lamb, you know, that opened not his mouth, you know, didn't say anything. You know, so here it is, you know, this is a picture of that teaching of peace, you know, and the mother's name, the row of the well of the oath. So it's coming from this council of the oath, you know, and when we look at 2 Kings, we get a little backdrop to chapter 2 Kings 12. We get a little backdrop in 2 Kings 11. So we're going to go to 2 Kings 11 and take a look at verses 1 through 4 and get a little backdrop to the story of King Joash before it starts in chapter 12. So kind of my first reader reads 2 Kings 11, 1 through 4.
And when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal. But Yehoshua, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons which were slain, and they hid him, even him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain, and he was with her in the house of Yahuwah. Hid her in the house of Yahuwah 6 years, and Athaliah did reign over the land. And the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fetched the rulers over 100 with the captains and the guard, and brought them to him into the house of Yahuwah, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath in the house of Yahuwah, and shewed them to the king's son.
Okay. So, here it is. We have Athaliah, the only woman ruler of Judah. You know, and she was the mother of Ahaziah, which was her son. And when she seen that he was dead, it says in verse 1 that she rose and destroyed all the royal seed. So she went through and killed all her own grandchildren. How dastardly was that? You know, she went and destroyed all her own grandchildren. And it says, but Yehoshua, the daughter of King Joram, which may have been her sister, not her sister, but her daughter, the sister of Ahaziah, which was her son, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons, which were slain, and they hid them. And the 7th year of Jehoiada sent and fetched the rulers over the hundreds and with the captains, you know, and made a covenant with them and took an oath of them in the house of Yahuwah and showed them to the king's son. Now remember what we was spiritually speaking, what was entailed in verse 1, the year of the oath. The year of the oath of, to Yah. That's when Joash began to reign. You know, that's when the one that's given of Yah began to reign. You know, Now check this out. Now when we go to, now we see that he reigned 40 years. It's during a time of testing and trials we spoke of, you know, in the instructions of peace, even in the teachings of our Messiah. And his mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba, the well of the oath. You know, so here it is. You know, all this is related to this oath. Okay, and he began to reign in the year of the oath. This is entailed within verse 1 of chapter 12. I just thought that was just, that's just awesome, because when we look in 2 Kings 11, we see the same thing. You know, we see it actually verifies that. Athaliah, her name means afflicted of Yah. And Ahaziah, his name means sustained by Yah. And Yehosheba, his name, her name rather, means sustained by Yah. And Joram, his name means whom Yah has exalted. And Jehoiada means knowledge of Yah, or who is known of Yah. Okay, so we have here, and when the one that's afflicted of Yah, the mother of who is sustained of Yah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal. You know, now we can look at this thing, you know, from a spiritual perspective, which is what I want us to do, because we can learn a lot from it from a spiritual perspective, because it applies to us, even now today in the spiritual perspective. You know, we have one that begins to reign in the year of the oath. And we see here, it says, Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw when her son was dead, that she arose and destroyed all the royal seed. You know, now, when we're fathered from above, and when we accept the Messiah and we come into the faith, you know, the one that comes into the faith is the one that has to die in the wilderness. And the one that's fathered from above, i.e. the born again man, has to be the one that goes on into the promised land. But they have to endure, they both have to endure this wilderness experience prior to doing either, right? Okay, now here it is. This is just a picture of that. Athaliah, whose name means afflicted of Yah, is likened unto your flesh, which is afflicted of Yah, via his teachings and instructions. Because his word teaches us how to abstain from the lust of the flesh. Okay, so the flesh starts feeling afflicted. You know, but the one who's ruling over, the one who's ruling, which is her son, Ahaziah, whose name means sustained of Yah, will be sustained of Yah. As we go through this wilderness experience, we are sustained of Yah. Even though it's a rough time, he will, if need be, rain manna from heaven. He will bring water from a rock. He will sustain us even in the uninhabitable place, even in the place in which it should not be sustainable. He will cause us to persevere, okay? Now, when Ahaziah dies, and now it's time for that newborn, the one that was born in the wilderness experience, you know, which would represent Yehoshua, not Yehoshua, but I forgot his name, Joash. Joash, which would represent Joash, the one that's given of Yah. You know, there's rebellion in the camp. Athaliah doesn't want him to reign. So Athaliah goes about and try to kill all the royal seed. You know, and now there's only one royal seed left, and that's the one that's given of Yah. Well, you know, when the way that this thing works is when we accept the Messiah, we come into the faith, we go through this wilderness experience. The one that came out of the world into the wilderness end up dying in the wilderness, but there's another one that's fathered from above in the wilderness, and that one is to go into the promised land. That one is to go into the promised land, but the affliction of Yah, that is the flesh that is afflicted of Yah, will try to kill that newborn that is of Yah, the one that's given of Yah, the Ruach HaKodesh, which is given of Yah. Everybody follow me? You know, now the flesh or Athalia will try to kill that royal seed. But it says, but Yehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Uzziah, and stole him from among the king's sons which were slain, and hid him. And, you know, we're going to do a little sidebar. Just put that on the shelf for a minute. We're going to talk about this oath. An oath is a solemn promise, often invoking a divine witness regarding one's future action or behavior. It's an ultimate appeal to divine authority to ratify an assertion. Oaths are binding to the soul. You know, when Israel entered into the covenant of Yah, they also took an oath. And a lot of people overlook this fact. But whenever we enter into covenant with Elohim, we also are taking an oath right along with it. Let's take a look at Numbers 30, verse 2. It says, if a man vow unto Yahweh or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond. See, whenever we take a vow to Yah or we take an oath to vow to Yah, it's actually a type of binding our soul. It says, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Okay? Deuteronomy 29, 9 through 15 says, keep therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do. Now this is the covenant that Yah made with Israel when he brought them out of Israel. You know, which is likened unto the covenant of Yahushua that we make with Elohim today. It says, verse 10, ye stand this day, all of you, before Yahuwah your Elohim, your captains of your tribes, your elders and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and a stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of wood unto the drawer of thy water, that thou shouldest enter into covenant with Yahuwah thy Elohim, and into his oath, which Yahuwah thy Elohim maketh with thee this day. So you see, when they enter into covenant with Elohim, they enter into oath with him at the same time. Verse 13, he that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee a Elohim, as he hath said unto thee, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day, before Yahuwah Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day. So, in other words, not only with the ones that was there, but the ones that would come later on. Okay, now Yahoash, that is the things given to Yah, often comes from oaths. You know, a lot of times, you know, people when they want something, they make an oath to Yah. Yah, if you do this for me, I will do this, that, or the other. You know, and so a lot of things that people receive of Yah come from oaths. You know, but what I want to point out is whenever you enter into a covenant with Yah, you're also making an oath. You know, now, in a sense, we can look at King Joash as a type of Yahshua, as well as a type of ourselves. That is, if you've been fathered from above and given the Ruach HaKodesh, you know, the Ruach HaKodesh, which works in conjunction with Yohayada, whose name means the knowledge of Elohim, you know, then this applies to you. You know, because you are that one. If you've been fathered from above, if you receive the Ruach Kodesh, then you've been given something of Yah. You know, and that thing that's given of Yah, that's what's supposed to rule in your land of Judah, in your flesh that praises Yah. Okay? And for even though our flesh is as Queen Athalia, that is afflicted of Yah, which tries to kill the royal seed because it doesn't want to keep the teachings and instructions of Yah. It wants the lust of the flesh. You know, its sons wants the lust of the flesh. Yehosheba, That is Yah's oath that we take when we enter into covenant with Yahushua or with Elohim is our King is there to hide and protect us. That oath that we take, that solemn promise that we make to Yah is what protects that royal seed. You know, even as Yehoshua, her name means Yah's oath. It's Yah's oath that we promised him that we will do, or even better yet, the things that we promised him we won't do, is what protects us. So the things that we promised him, the oath that we made unto him, is what protects that royal seed. It's what protects that newborn spiritual being that's fathered from above. You know, and that's what keeps him alive, by hiding and protecting, you know, from the flesh. Because the flesh wants to kill him. Okay, let me have my first reader read 2 Kings 12, 2 through 6.
Joash did that which was right in the sight of Yahuwah all his days within Jehoiada, priest instructed him. But the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And Joash said to the priests, all the money of the dedicated things that is brought back into the house of Yahuwah, even the money of everyone that passed the account, the money that every man is set at, and all the money that cometh into any man's heart to bring into the house of Yahuwah. Let the priests take it unto them, every man of his acquaintance, and let them repair the breaches of the house, whatsoever any breach shall be found. But it was so that in the 3 and 20th year of King Joash, the priests had not been repaired in the breaches of the house.
Go ahead to verse 8.
Okay. Then King Joash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priests, and said unto them, why repair ye not the breaches of the house? Now therefore receive no more money of your acquaintance, but deliver it for the breaches of the house. And the priests consented to receive no more money of the people, neither to repair the breaches of the house.
Okay, so here it is. We see that Jehoash, that who's given of Yah, he does what's right in the sight of Yahuwah all his days, wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. Okay, and remember, Jehoiada, his name meant the knowledge of Elohim. You know, so spiritually speaking, we see here the one that's given of Yah, the one that's fathered from above, that is, you know, the one who receives the Ruach HaKodesh, you know, which is led by the Ruach HaKodesh in all their ways. You know, this one is the one that does right in the sight of Yahuwah at all his days, wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. So spiritually speaking, he does right in all his days as long as the knowledge of Elohim instructs him. So you see, spiritually speaking, this what's given of Yah and the knowledge of Yah, which speaks to his word, because that's the only way we gain knowledge of Elohim, is through his word nowadays, you know, instructs the King Jehoash as to which way to go. It says, so as long as that conjunction, as long as that they teamed up like that, it was great, you know. Everything was right. It says, but the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. And it says, and Jehoash said to the priest, and all the money and the dedicated things that's brought into the house, you know, even everyone that passes the account, he wanted to, basically, long story short, he wanted to build the house. He wanted to repair the house because Athaliah had broke down the house. You know, even as your flesh will break down this house. It'll break your body down. If you follow the lust of the flesh, your body will get broken down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, but here it is, you know, historically speaking, Athaliah her sons did tear up the house of Elohim, that is. And so Jehoash, he wanted to put it back together. So he started taking up an offering. And he said, let the priest take it to them, every man his acquaintance. But verse 16 tells us, but it was so that in the 3 and 20th year of King Jehoash, the priest had not repaired the breaches of the house. So I don't know when this decree went out. I pray it wasn't when he first started reigning. But in his 23rd year, it still hadn't been done. You know, and there's a lot being said here. You know, the number 23 actually speaks to death. You know, so another way of looking at that is, you know, but it was so that in the death, in the death or the time of death of King Jehoash, or the king that was given of Yah, the priest had not repaired the breaches of the house. You know, verse 7 goes on to say, you know, as the result of that, now therefore receive no more money of your acquaintance. You know, speaking to the priest. It says the king Jehoash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priests and said, you know, why isn't this done? Don't receive no more money. You know, for your acquaintance. Because what they were doing, they was keeping the money for themselves. They was collecting the money, but they were keeping it for themselves. And verse 8 says, and the priest consented to receive no more money of the people, neither to repair the breaches of the house. Now, verse 9 goes on to say, but Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it and set it beside the altar. And on the right side is one come up into the house of Yahuwah. And the priest that kept the door put therein all the money that was brought into the house of Yahuwah. So Jehoiada the priest, he took a chest, he bored a hole in the lid of it, and set it beside the altar on the right side. And those who kept the door of the house of Elohim, they put the money in, all the money that came in, they put it in there. Now, there's some things that we need to take a closer look at. First of all, I don't know, that shouldn't be like that, but this should be chest. The word chest here is actually aron in the Hebrew, number 727, and it means ark. So, first off, let us note that this was not just a chest. It was an ark. You know, and this is why the people so readily put money in it. You know, it wasn't just the chest, it was an ark. Out of the 200 times aron is used in Scripture, the only time it is translated as chest is in conjunction with this story in Jehoash. Except for one other exception, it's always translated as ark. You know, 190-something times it's translated as ark. Only when it's used in this story, you know, is it translated as chest. Now, for one with eyes to see, this is nothing other than a spiritual picture of Yahushua's death, burial, and resurrection. Recall, if you would, verse 6, and that it didn't take place until the 23rd year of Jehoash, which means given of Yah. That is the death of he that was given of Yah. And who was given of Yah but our Messiah? Yochanan 3:16, for Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. You know, so here it is, we see that our Messiah was also one that was given of Yah. Amen? And like the ark, the blood of the new covenant was upon him. Hence we see in Matthew 26:28, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the remissions of sins. And like unto the ark of the covenant, you know, the Messiah was that ark of the covenant. His blood was sprinkled on that ark. What was in the ark? The teachings and instructions of Elohim, the commandments of Elohim. What came out of Yahushua? The commandments of Elohim. You know, his blood would be put on that ark. You know, just like it had a pole going through the holes of the ark that it might be carried, he was lifted up on a pole. You know, there was holes put in him. You know, he was that ark. He is the one that we're to carry on our shoulders. You know, and the whole point of them carrying the ark on their shoulders is that he might be, you know, that they would see the picture that he was the head. You know, that the ark is to sit on the shoulders of men as their head. You know, now we see here that it says that the chest, in verse 9 it says, the ark, rather, that Jehoiada the priest took it. Jehoiada, the knowledge of Elohim, the priest, he took it and it bore a hole in the lid of it. You know, even as they bored a hole in our Messiah. You know, and set it beside the altar on the right side as one cometh into the house of Yahuwah. You know, where is our Messiah even now today? We read in Acts 2:34, for David is not ascended into the heavens, but he saith himself, Yahuwah said unto my Adonai, sit thou on my right hand. You know, this is just where the Messiah is, on the right side. He's on the right side, you know, where you come in to the house of Elohim. No man cometh unto the Father except by him. Okay, so here it is. We see the spiritual picture there of him being on the right side as one cometh into the house of Yahuwah. Can't get there except for you go by that chest. You go by that ark that the priest kept, and the priest that kept the door put in all the money. You know, and these priests speak to the priest of Melchizedek. Now, let's back up for a minute, back to verse 6, where it says, but it was so in the 23rd year of King Joash, it was so in the death of King Joash, or the death of the king that was given of Yah. Yahushua is that king that was given of Yah. And at the time that he died, the Aaronic priest had not repaired the breaches. And Yah would likewise, even as he said, as King Joash called for Jehoiada the priest and told him, you know, you're not going to take no more money. You're not going to be receiving no more money for the upkeep of the house of Elohim. So it was. The priesthood of Aaron is done away with. They are not accepting no more money for the upkeep of the house of Elohim. But the priest that's kept the door, the chief priest that keep the door, you know, our Messiah is the door. He would say, I am the door, and to the sheepfold. He is that door, and the priests that keep the door, i.e. the priest of Melchizedek, they are the ones that take the money and they put it into the ark. So in other words, the priest of Melchizedek or the priest of Yahshua are to take the money and put it into the body of Yahshua. Everybody seeing that? That's just awesome to me. But let me have my next reader read verses 10 through 16.
And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags and told the money that was found in the house of Yahuwah. And they gave the money, being told, into the hands of them that did the work, that had the oversight of the house of Yahuwah, and they laid it out to the carpenters and builders, and wrought upon the house of Yahuwah, and to masons and hewers of stones, and to buy timber and hewn stones to repair the breaches of the house of Yahuwah, and for all that was laid out for the house to repair it. Howbeit there were not made for the house of Yahuwah bowls of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, and any vessels of gold or vessels of silver of the money that was brought into the house of Yahuwah. But they gave that to the workmen and repaired therewith the house of Yahuwah. Moreover, they reckoned not with the men into whose hand they delivered the money to be bestowed on workmen, for they dealt faithfully. The trespass money and the sin money was not brought into the house of Yahuwah. It was the priests.
Okay. So here it is. We see that they gave the money into the hands of them who actually did the work. You know, so the ones who kept the door, you know, and which speaks to the priest of Melchizedek, they're to take the money and they're to put it right in the workers' hands. You know, the ones that's going to do the work, not give it to the priest. You know, and the priests go and find their acquaintances to do the work. That didn't work out. That system didn't work. So that had to be abolished. Even as the Aaronic priesthood had to be abolished because it didn't work. You know, so now here it is, you know, in the body of Yahshua, the money is to go right to the workers. You know, the ones who's working the build. We're going through the book of Nehemiah on Saturdays, and we show that, you know, that's like even until a time like now, you know, when even as this speaks to a time like now when the temple is torn up, when it's torn down, the breaches thereof need to be rebuilt. You know, we need these masons, these hewers of stone. We need this timber. We need to rebuild the house of Yahshua. Yes. You know, we need to put this thing back together. You know, every one of us that's giving of Yah, that's giving gifts of Yah, you know, that's giving his Ruach HaKodesh, his Ruach Kodesh, and that Ruach Kodesh is giving us gifts. We need to be using it, you know, to rebuild this temple, to rebuild the house of Elohim. You know, we're all a type of Yahoash, even as our Messiah was a type of Yahoash. You know, and this is the work that needs to be done, and we need to get it done. Now, take note that the trespass money and the sin money was not brought into the house. You know, it wasn't brought into the house. It was the priest. Speaking of the Aaronic priests, because they're the ones who trespassed against our Messiah. And they're going to be the ones that trespass against the priesthood of Melchizedek. They have trespassed against the priest of Melchizedek, and they're going to do it again. And the sin money, they were the ones that also sinned against them. They would sin against our Messiah, they would trespass against him, and they would do likewise to his followers. You know, and so this money was not to be brought into the house. And we see, even in the story of Messiah, that it wasn't brought into the house. When we read Matthew 27:3-6, which speaks to Judas, which was the one who betrayed him, it says, then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned, and I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? See thou to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. You know, in other words, he's giving this silver back. He's saying, okay, well, this is a trespass offering. You know, and it says, the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, it is not lawful to put them into the treasury because it's the price of the blood. So they had to keep it. You know, and they took it and they went and brought the field of blood. You know, so just as this depicted, you know, now you got to keep in mind that this 2 Kings was written thousands of years before the Messiah will walk the earth. But yet, the story of Messiah is explicitly detailed within this story. You can see that. You know, it's explicitly detailed, and that's just so awesome. You know, that's how awesome Yah's word is. Anyone who thinks the word is not of Elohim, or think that there isn't an Elohim, they're not acquainted with his word. It's just no way. Verse 17 of 2 Kings 12, it says, then Hazael, the king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem. Okay, now Hazael means one who sees Elohim. And Syria means highlands, and Gath means winepress, and Jerusalem means the city or the teaching or possession or even foundation of peace. Okay? Now, who is the one who sees Elohim? Who's the king of highlands or high places? That goes and fight against Gath, that goes and fight against the wine press. You know, the wine press is where they harvest the grapes at. Amen? And the grapes speaks to Yahushua and his followers. But Yahushua would say, I am the vine. Amen. Okay, and so here it is. We see a spiritual picture of one who sees Elohim, who's the king of the high places, and that goes and fight against Gav, you know, the winepress. So it's fighting against Yahshua and his followers, and sets his face to go up to Jerusalem, or go up to the teachings of peace. Because there's going to come a time when we're not going to be allowed to legally worship and honor Yahushua. There's going to come a time when it's going to be outlawed, even as there was a time prior that it was outlawed. That time is coming again. Okay, let's go to Job 1:7 to see who it is that sees Elohim, that is the king of the high places or the highlands. Okay, Job 1:7 says, and Yahuwah said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered Yahuwah and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Satan is the one who sees Elohim, who is the king of the highlands. You know, he's the king of all those high places in which the pagans offer their worship to. He's the king of all them. And he's the one that's fighting against Yahshua and his followers. He's the one that's fighting against the teachings of peace. He likes war. 2 Kings 12:18, and Joash, king of Yahudah, took all the hallowed things that Jehoshaphat and Joram and Ahaziah, his fathers, kings of Yahudah, had dedicated, and his own hallowed things, and all the gold that was found in the treasures of the house of Yahudah, and in the king's house, and sent it to Hazael, king of Syria, and he went away from Jerusalem. Okay, so he kept Satan up off of him. Okay, now here it is. Now we see that King Yahoash, he kept Satan up off of him. But what did he have to do to keep him up off of him? He had to give up all the holy things that was in the kingdom. He had to give up all the holy things that was in his house. You know, our flesh bodies is our house. And he sent it to Hazael. He sent it to the one who sees Elohim, the king of the high places. And he went away from Jerusalem. He left him alone. And if you do likewise, he'll leave you alone too. But that's not so always a good thing. Verses 19 through 21, it says, the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Yahudah? And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash in the house of Milo, which goeth down to Silla. And Jozachar, the son of Shemaiah, and Jehozabad, the son of Shomer, his servant smote him, and he died, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Amaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. Now, Joash, his name, Joash, which is another name for King Jehoash, but this name has a different meaning. It's another name, and it has a different meaning, and it means who despairs. That is, one who loses all hope. You know, Milo means defense. So the house of Milo speaks to the house of defense. Silla means to mound up, or speaks to a high place. Jozachar means Yah remembers, or Yah remembered. Shemaiah means one that hears or obeys, or one that heard or obeyed. Jehozabad means having a dowry, or one who has a dowry. Shomer means keeper. Amaziah means strength of Yah. Now, something awesome happens when you put these translations of these names into the text. You know, it's beginning to speak to us quite differently. Now, this is the same three verses with the translation of the names inserted into the text. Now, this is how it reads. Verse 19, and the rest of the acts of he who despairs, that is, he who loses all hope in all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Yahudah? And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew he who had lost all hope in the house of his defense, which goeth down to the high place. For Yah remembered the son of he that heard and obeyed, and has a dowry, the son of the keeper. His servant smote him, and he died, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and the strength of Yah his son reigned in his stead. Now firstly, let us take note that Scripture ceased calling him King Joash, which means given of Yah, after he gave away all the Kodesh things of the house of Elohim. So after he gave away all the Kodesh things of the house of Elohim and began calling him, it stopped calling him Yehoash and began calling him Joash, which means who despairs. Reason being is that this is when all hope is lost. Whenever we give away all the holy things of our house, all the Kodesh things of our house, then we become one who despair. We become one without hope. See, you have to understand that when you give away the things that's holy unto Yah from out your house, and Yah willing, you should have things that are holy unto Yah all up through your house. And this speaks to your works, the works that you do that are holy unto Yah. It speaks to his word that's within there that's holy unto Yah. And remember, Kodesh means not just something that's set apart, but something that's set apart for a particular purpose. And that particular purpose is unto Yah. So when you give up everything that has a purpose only for Yah that's in your life, then you lose all hope. Because that's the same as the one given of Yah, that is the Ruach HaKodesh, giving away everything that is Kodesh, that is set apart unto Yah from within the house. You give away everything, it ceased to be the house of Yah. Can you see that? It ceased being the house of Yah. Because there's nothing that's dedicated, there's nothing that's set apart only unto him. There's nothing holy in it. So Yah only dwells in holiness and set apartness. That's for a particular purpose of serving him. So when you give away all that, you give away your hope, because he's not going to be there. And he is our hope. So this is the spiritual picture here. So what happened to make King Jehoash, that is one given of Yah, turn into Joash, that is one that has lost all hope? Something had to have happened to cause the one that's given of Yah, which is a spiritual picture of one of us receiving the Ruach HaKodesh, and rebuilding and repairing the breaches of the house of Elohim, which speaks to us. Something has transpired that caused that one given of Yah to lose all hope and turn into one that's in despair, that's done lost all hope. Well, the clue is found in 2 Kings 12:2. It says, "And Jehoash did that which was right in the sight of Yahuwah all the days wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him." Now when we look at we're also told here another clue in 2 Kings 12:19. It says, "And all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Yahudah?" So we got to go to Chronicles to see what he did, or what happened to make King Jehoash turn into Joash. So we go to 2 Chronicles 24:14 and 15, and we find it says, "And when they finished it, they brought the rest of the money before the king, and Joiada, whereof were made vessels for the house of Yahuwah, even vessels to minister, and to offer withal, and spoons, and vessels of gold and silver, and they offered burnt offerings in the house of Yahuwah continually all the days of Jehoiada." And we know the burnt offering is a depiction of one who has given themselves wholly unto Yah. Even as a burnt offering was totally burnt up, there was nothing left off. You know, it was holy. It was set apart unto Yah and Yah only. You know, so this is a picture of those of us who live our lives as a living sacrifice, holy and accepted unto Yah. Holy unto Yah, not H-O-L-Y, but W-H-O-L-L-Y, 100% completely unto Yah. You know, so they was doing this all the days of Jehoiada. Jehoiada name means the knowledge of Elohim. So as long as that which was given of Yah, that is the spirit of Elohim, the spirit of Elohim which was given unto us, is in conjunction with the knowledge of Elohim, which is found in his word, then they would offer the burnt offerings. You know, they would give themselves, you know, the land would be given unto Yah. You know, but it says in verse 15, but Jehoiada waxed old and was full of days when he died, and 130 years old was he when he died. Actually, he is the oldest guy that I can find anyway. After coming into the promised land, you know, after Moshe. 130 years he was. 100 speaks to Yah's election, his children of promise. And 30 speaks to the blood of the Messiah, dedication, spiritual maturity. So you put these things together, you have the people, the elect of Elohim, the children of promise, with the blood of Messiah upon them, those that are dedicated and spiritually mature. You know, now, when they all die, then you got a problem. You know, when Jehoiada, which represents the knowledge of Elohim, you know, which the knowledge of Elohim is carried with his elect, his election of grace, the children of promise, the ones that have the blood of Messiah, the ones that's dedicated and spiritually mature, they're the ones with the knowledge of Elohim. When they die off, then you have a problem. You know, because you have the one that's given of Yah, he doesn't have that direction. And let's see what happens. In verse 16 it says, and they buried him in the city of David among the kings. Now that's relevant. They buried him among the kings because he was the king during that time in all actuality. You know, a 7-year-old really couldn't reign. You know, really couldn't reign. Not in all actuality. You know, and the Ruach, you know, would save them and keep them protected for those 6 years, which is revelatory as well, because 6 is the number of man and it speaks to the works of man. You know, so even while the flesh is doing this thing, you know, that royal seed was protected. You know, it's protected by the oath of Yah. Now, it says they buried Jehoiada in the city of David, or the city of the beloved, among the kings. You know, they buried him even as he was as if he was a king. You know. Now, verse 17. Now, after the death of Jehoiada, came the princes of Yehuda and made obeisance to the king. So they came and they worshiped before the king, and the king hearkened unto them. See, now he's getting his direction, he's getting his instructions from another source. No longer is it from Jehoiada or the knowledge of Elohim. Now it's from the princes of Yehuda, those who lead over Yehuda. You know, so once the knowledge of Elohim ceases to rule, ceases to direct the king, that's when he gets in trouble. And the same thing with us. Once the knowledge of Elohim, that is the word of Elohim, ceases to direct our paths, ceases to work in conjunction with what was given us of Yah, i.e. his spirit, the Ruach Kodesh, then we get in trouble. The two have to work in conjunction. Otherwise, we get in trouble. Otherwise, we begin following the princes of Yehuda, which is let's see what the princes of Yehuda lead them to. And it says, and they left the house of Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers. That's when you look, all hope is lost. They left the house of Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers and served groves and idols. You know, remember who's the king of the high places. They served groves and idols, and wrath came upon Yehuda in Jerusalem for this, their trespass. Yet he sent prophets to them to bring them again unto Yahuwah, and they testified against them. But they would not give ear. See, when we backslide, Yah will send people into our lives to testify of him, to give us an opportunity to come back unto him. And we ought to give ear. Learn the lesson from Joash and listen to him. Give him an ear. Obey him. Come back to Yahuwah. Verses 20 through 25, it says, and the spirit of Elohim came upon Zechariah. Zechariah's name means Yah remembered. Keep that in mind. Put that on the shelf. And the spirit of Elohim came upon Zechariah, the son of Joiada, the priest. Now this is the priest who died, son, the one who kept him and saved him and made him king, which stood above the people and said unto him, thus saith Elohim, why transgress ye the commandments of Yahuwah, that ye cannot prosper? See, we can't prosper transgressing the commandments of Yahuwah. Because ye have forsaken Yahuwah, he hath also forsaken you. And they conspired against him and stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king in the court of the house of Yahuwah. Wow. Thus Joash the king remembered not the kindness of Jehoiada, his father had done to him, but slew his son. And when he died, he said, Yahuwah, look upon it and require it. You know, so here it is, the spirit of Elohim came upon Zechariah, came upon the one who Yah remembered, the son of Jehoiada, the son of the knowledge of Elohim, and tried to talk some sense to Joash, the one who had lost all hope. And the king remembered not the kindness of Jehoiada his father, but slew his son. Verse 23, and it came to pass at the end of the year that the host of Syria came up against him. The host of the highlands, the host of the high places. You know, that's those unclean spirits, if you would, spiritually speaking. And they came to Yehuda and to Jerusalem and destroyed all the princes of the people from among the people, and sent all the spoil of them unto the king of Damascus. You know, and it goes on in verse 24, for the army of the Syrians came with a small company of men. It don't take very many of them. And Yahuwah delivered a very great host into their hand, because they had forsaken Yahuwah, Elohim of their fathers. So they executed just judgment against Joash. And when they were departed from him, for they left him in great diseases, his own servants conspired against him for the blood of the sons of Jehoiada the priest, and slew him on his bed, and he died. And they buried him in the city of David, but they buried him not in the sepulchres of the kings. So Jehoiada gets buried in the sepulchre of the kings, but the actual king doesn't. You know, so the knowledge of Elohim is king, in other words. You know, the knowledge of Elohim is king, versus that which is given of Yah, you know, only is there to work in conjunction with. You know, and when you throw out the knowledge of Elohim, that is the word of Elohim, then you get in trouble. And so this is it's quite a profound picture, if you would. If you think back to what we looked at when we inserted the definitions right into the text. Look at what it's saying. It says, and the rest of the acts of he who despairs, that is, who lost all hope, and all that they did, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the Kings? And it says, and his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew he who lost all hope, and the house of his defense, which go up down into the high place. Now, when we go to 2 Chronicles, we see that his house of defense was the high places. He had left the house of Elohim, and he had went to the high places, and he began to worship in the groves and to the idols of the groves that's in the high places. So his house of defense, that who he trusted in, became those groves in those high places. You know, and this is exactly what 2 Chronicles says that happened. And it says, for Yah remembered the son of he that heard and obeyed. Y'all remember the son of he that heard and obeyed and has a dowry. Who has the dowry? Who receives the dowry? The wife. You know, it says the son of the keeper. Well, who kept him? Was it not Jehoiada? You know, it says, y'all remembered the son of he that heard and obeyed. Jehoiada, he heard of Elohim, he obeyed, even as his son heard and obeyed. And they are a type of the bride and the son of the keeper. And even as Jehoiada kept, was Joash keeper, the Messiah is our keeper. You know, so we see a beautiful picture of exactly what actually happened in this detail in 2 Chronicles 24:14 and through 19. You know, here it is, we're told, through 25. Here it is, we're told that Zechariah, whose name means the same as Zohar, y'all remember. You know, the spirit of Elohim came upon him. He was the son of Jehoiada. He was the son of the keeper, the one who kept him, the one who kept him from being killed in the first place, who made him king. And he tells him that he transgressed, trying to get him to repent, and he kills him. Now, even though he didn't remember what Jehoiada did, look at the irony here in verse 20. It says, Joash, the king, remembered not the kindness of Jehoiada, his father, but Yah remembered it. Yah remembered it, and he sent, the one he sent to actually kill him was the servant of, what's his name? It was actually the servants of Jehoiada's son name, Yehoiakar. I think it was Yehoiakar. I forget.
Jehoiada's son?
Yeah, Jehoiada's.
Zechariah.
Right, Zechariah was Jehoiada's son, but the name of the one that actually would kill him, that actually would kill Yahoash, his name actually meant the same as Zechariah. It meant Yahuwah remembered. It's in here somewhere. Well, wherever it is. Oh, here it is. Yozakar. So you see, the one who actually killed him, Yozakar, his name actually means Yah remembered. So, you know, look at the irony. For Yah did remember the son that heard and obeyed and has a dowry, the son of the keeper. You know, so in other words, it's pointing out that Zechariah, he heard and obeyed the spirit of Elohim. He done what he was supposed to do, and he is a type of the one that makes up the bride, the son of the keeper. You know, he was the son of Jehoiada, who was the keeper of Yahoaz, even as, you know, those of us who hear and obey, those of us who Yah remembers that we do what the spirit of Yah tells us to do, and we hear and obey, and have a dowry, that is, we make up the bride of the Messiah, the son of the keeper, you know, the son of the one who keeps us. And it says the one that reigns after him is the strength of Yah. You know, so it's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful picture of, in 2 Kings, of what would actually transpire in 2 Chronicles. And even though these writings was written at different times, it shows forth that truth. You know, even entailed within the names. You know, it's an awesome testament to how revelatory the names are. That's all I have for you. Pray was a blessing unto you.
Can you go back to that slide that you have the name?